baking with Miss Avena, and I actually have Mrs. Avena. This is my mom, and she's gonna help me make actually my birthday cake for tomorrow. So tell them what we're making today.
We are making a tricolor cake.
So for those of you who don't know what that is, if you've ever heard of rainbow cookies, the 3 colors with the chocolate on the top and the bottom, basically what we're doing, we're just making it in cake form. It's one of my favorite treats at the holiday time, and it's a lot of our family's favorites as well. So just so you know, this has a lot of different steps, so I'm gonna go through it first. So the first thing that we did was we made the chocolate ganache, and that's gonna decorate the outside of our cake. This was done with 8 ounces of bittersweet chocolate chopped, and then we had simmered 2/3 cup of light or heavy cream with a pinch of salt in it. When that simmered, I just poured it on top, let it sit a little bit, mixed it, and then we just kind of put it aside. It's the consistency of what a thick pudding would be, and this is gonna decorate it at the end, so that's why we needed to make it at the beginning. So we'll be back very shortly to go over our ingredients and then move forward.
So what we did first is we prepped our pans. We actually lined them with Crisco first, all around. We put parchment paper on top, and then we dusted it with flour. Now we have 3 pans of the same size.
Line the top and the bottom with Crisco, so that way the flour sticks to it. All right, so we have 3 pans set on the side that they're all ready to go. The best thing you can do is to always prep your ingredients ahead of time. Another thing that's a little bit different for this one is you're going to need almond filling. Now, when you make, and if you've ever made rainbow cookies, some recipes use almond filling, some recipes use almond paste. I prefer the almond filling. I think the cookie tastes has a better almond flavor to it, and it just maintains the moisture.
It's a lighter consistency.
All right, so ingredients.
We have 2 sticks of butter, or 14 ounces of butter. We used tablespoons of butter, sorry. We used 2 tablespoons to line the pans.
Okay, sugar.
We have 3/4 of a cup of sugar. Sorry, I can't read without my glasses here.
Everyone.
We have 3 eggs.
3 eggs. All right, so this is our mosh posh. I might have to help. Oh, you could do this one first.
And we have almond filling. Almond filling we need, is it the whole can?
Yeah, whole can.
Okay, whole can of almond filling.
Okay, this is our mosh posh in here.
We have 1 teaspoon of almond extract, 2 teaspoons of fresh lemon juice, and a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract.
Yeah, it's kind of my mosh posh with my extracts in there. And then we have our flour mixture.
Sorry.
It's 1/2 teaspoon of salt.
1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 1/2 cups of flour, plus 1 1/2 teaspoons of baking powder.
All right, so the first thing that we're gonna do is we always cream our sugars together, sugar and butter together. That's gonna get everything light and fluffy going. I just wanted to point out one more thing because I did forget. You're going to need food coloring for this one. So these are my food colors. I actually switched it and I'm already getting some on my hands, of course. These are powdered food colors. They're just a little bit more vibrant, and you only need like a tiny pinch of it. Do not touch it with your hands, it will get all over you. It went all over the kitchen and I got yelled at for that. So even as adults, you do get yelled at by your parents sometimes. So we're gonna throw in the butter and sugar, and we'll be right back with you.
Welcome back. We just creamed our butter and sugars, and now we're going to add our almond filling.
You want to get every single thing out of that, so use a good spatula to help you get the almond filling out of that.
And then after the almond filling, we're going to add all our mosh posh of the extracts.
Yeah. And the big point about this cake is that it has a very almond flavor. So the almond filling is going to give that flavor, and then with our extracts, almond extract is going to just intensify that flavor a little bit more. And once these start mixing together, then we're slowly going to add our eggs one by one.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get all of that almond because it's so good.
All right, dump that in. All right, so slowly we're gonna add the eggs one by one, letting them mix in a little bit. Ooh, we had a glop of white egg get stuck to the bowl. Just drop it down the stove right there. And we have one more egg to go.
Now I'm gonna wash my hands real quick.
All right, so I'm gonna let this mix, let the egg incorporate, and then I'm gonna use a spatula just to kind of scrape the sides down, so that way everything can kind of mix and come together in the right way. All right, so I'm gonna just do a quick lifting this up. Now, most of the previous recipes that we used, we did only use a whisk. This recipe, you really do need an electric mixer, whether that be a KitchenAid or just your handheld one. All right, so we're gonna dump the flour in and slowly as we keep it on stir and kind of wait for it all to incorporate. Got it all in. Sorry, that took a little bit to get it all in. Again, I'm gonna watch the mixing bowl and then I'll show you kind of the consistency that we're looking for. It's a little bit thicker than I think cake batter is. It's like slightly thicker. Swipe off. And it looks like all the ingredients come together. I just see some extra flour on top of my mixer. I'm gonna just give it a quick switch. And then we're gonna clean that out. So once we come back, we'll have, what we're going to do next is separate out the dough or the batter, I guess, into 3 separate colors. Usually you're supposed to color one of them yellow. We just leave it white because it's just a lot easier. And I always say that these cookies look like the Italian flag, and the Italian flag is red, green, and white. So we just leave it white. All right, everybody, welcome back. So we did the really hard part. We tried to figure out to make it easier for you how much actually should go when you separate the cake. So as you can see, we have 3 different bowls here. This is gonna be our plain, and then we have this one. We're gonna color these 2. It's about 1 cup and 1/3 cup in each container. So now I'm using my powdered form. So the powdered one's a little bit different. A lot goes a long way. A little goes a long way, sorry. So I'm just gonna grab a teensy bit. And this is actually activated by water. Hold on. So I have just a little dropper right here. I'm gonna just drop 1 or 2 drops of water on that just to help that activate. And my mom is gonna start mixing that in. We can see if we need to add more coloring to that or not. I'm gonna add some green to mine.
Yes, I think we do.
More coloring?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then I know I have to add extra green to mine. And the green is what
Or
always,
maybe not. I don't know. What do you think?
a little bit more.
Just a little bit.
It's okay. Do you want some water for it?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. I'm just gonna activate my green. And then I'm gonna start mixing too. And we'll show you what the colors look like as soon as we get them more mixed in. This is a very good recipe to do with someone in your family. We always make these cookies at Christmas time. It's pretty much very similar recipe, except for it takes it's a little bit longer because we have to let our cookies sit overnight. This cake is only gonna sit about a half an hour before we, once it's cooled. So you wanna always scrape the bottom when you're working with food coloring because you don't want to have any white. So I will show you. I used a tiny pinch, maybe 1/8 teaspoon, and I have a really bright green color.
Here's my pink or red.
All right, so once we're satisfied with our mixing, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our round inch pans. I didn't have, the recipe states you're supposed to use 8-inch. I don't have 3 8-inch at my house, I have 2. So we're using actually 9-inch pans. It just means that my cake's gonna be a little bit thinner, not as thick. So the really big thing about this one is you have to spread the mix all around. Make sure it's even. So we're both gonna dump ours in. And then, oops. My step almost went flying. Now, my original cookie recipe for rainbow cookies, and my mom can answer this, was actually from, if I get this right, my dad's classmate in college's family recipe.
That's
And
correct.
they unfortunately don't make them anymore, actually. So we've kind of continued the tradition of making them. So I'm gonna just spread it out in my pan, and I try to clean this down here so you can kind of see what I'm doing. I don't really need to see my face. And it's a really spreadable batter. Don't worry about, it will kind of all even out in the oven, but just make sure you try to get it as evenly as possible. Get all the nooks and crannies in there. And the flour is not going to make it stick to the side, so just kind of push it in a little bit. It's okay. I'm almost there with mine.
Yeah, so am I.
She's faster
Just more experience.
than I am. I forgot, mine was not even. And do a little swirl. I have a little extra on mine, I'm gonna get off.
Yep.
And turn my finger green a little bit.
Better than blue.
Better than blue. The blue went everywhere. It was a very traumatic experience.
Still finding blue.
And we cleaned the kitchen like 3 times.
Okay, so this is mine. It's pretty even. And I've gotten it everywhere. Okay, so this one's ready.
And mine's just about ready to go too. So same thing, kind of evened it out. We are going to prep our white to go in the ovens. And I forgot to mention, you do have to preheat the oven for 350 degrees. And you're only gonna bake each cake for about 20 minutes. You kind of want to start watching it 16, 17 minutes, depending on your oven. My parents' oven runs a little hot, so I'm going to probably start checking it at 15. We'll be back with the cooled cakes to show you what we have to do next, and we'll go from there. All right, everybody, welcome back. So our cakes just came out of the oven. As you can see, these have been cooling on a cooling rack for about 15 minutes or so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to invert them and let them cool completely on the cooking rack. We're just going to pull off the parchment paper, super simple, easy. And the red one just came out of the oven, so we're gonna let that one chill for about 15 minutes, and then I'll invert this. Once these are fully cool, then what we're gonna do is we're going to take our apricot preserves. The recipe calls for either raspberry or apricot. I prefer apricot. Feel free to do what you would like. And we're going to basically take a quarter cup, just making sure that our cakes are even, and we'll double check that later. A quarter cup for each layer, and then we're gonna let the cake chill in the fridge. So check back in, actually check back in. I'm gonna pause the video and we're gonna continue with this in a little bit. See you soon. All right, everybody, so we're back, and you can kind of tell them.
So we just measured out, I just measured out a quarter cup of the apricot preserves, and I put it onto the green, and I'm gonna try to spread it as evenly as possible. And
This is what's gonna kind of make our layers stick together. Our red layers at the bottom over here, we're just using this so you guys could see.
Okay, and then Christina's gonna put the white layer up on top. And I'm gonna put the rest of the other quarter cup of preserves.
And while she's doing that, I'm just grabbing some plastic wrap so that way we can put it on top of the cake. Because this cake has to set for about 30 minutes before we could put any ganache on it. And so I'm gonna just loosely cover it in plastic wrap, and then we'll pop it in the fridge for 30 minutes, come back and put our final ganache on.
Well, before we do that,
Put the top layer on.
Put the top layer on. So now you could see that it's 3 colors. And it looks good.
Pretty even. Thank goodness.
Yep.
All right, see you guys in a little bit. Hello, everybody. everybody, and welcome back. So I have just kind of smushed the chocolate ganache because we are ready to start frosting the cake. I'm gonna start frosting the sides and then I'll get back to you guys when we start frosting the top because it's gonna probably be a mess. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna start by frosting the sides, putting a really thin layer on, and then we'll work on the top, and then we'll just work on a little bit of design. So, big whoops on my part, I forgot to press record or unpause. I was talking the whole time and had a very delightful play-by-play of what we were doing, but we kind of finished decorating the cake. All we did was take the rest of the ganache that was in the container and using an offset spatula kind of put it on top. I then just did a little pattern with my smaller spatula over here. I'm gonna go back and fix up some parts of the cake on the side. I'll put this in the fridge overnight and then pull it out probably a half an hour before we eat it tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for joining. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Get outside, it's beautiful. I was outside doing yard work all day, so I'm a little bit of a mess, but I hope you guys have a great day and I will see you guys another time for Baking with Miss Avena. Bye. Bye.